A couple of weeks ago, I shared a video where I made a list of the coloring trends that I found most intimidating. I found them scary, and I chose some at random to try out. Now, on that list was the comic book effect, and a lot of you wanted me to try it. So that's what we're doing today. I'm again going to use my book Cozy Forest. I've chosen a page where I think I can pull this off, and I'm going to give it a go. I'm loving how this book is turning out now that I'm filling it. It's almost full, so I'm very excited about that, and that's why I wanted to use this copy. Also, in full transparency, I wanted to let you know, and I'll share it too, that I already played around with this digitally on the plane ride back home yesterday to see if I could figure out how to do it. And now that I've done that, it's definitely a little bit less intimidating because I have a plan. Of course, now I have to take what I did on my iPad and do it on the actual page, and that's how we're going to start. The way I went about this on the iPad was I marked my two main characters, which are the butterfly and my chunky cutie. And I decided I wanted those in different frames. So to do that, I created a diagonal dividing the page. And I'm going to follow the same steps with my pencil. I'm drawing the lines twice to create that break or thickness needed for the comic book appearance. And I'll paint the spaces between these lines with white later. The rest of the page I just kind of randomly divided into squares or rectangles, so I'm going to copy those same lines with the pencil. When I drew these rectangles, I was trying to keep an interesting composition within each of them. And this top one was very plain, so I chose to draw an extra butterfly here. I definitely want to add one of those very dramatic conversation bubbles that comic books are known for, so I'm going to have a star-shaped one here on the top. And then some of the elements, the mushroom caps, the grass, I'm going to let them overlap a bit to keep things more dynamic. I'm using this white acrylic marker to start to go over some of the black outlines that are in the middle of the lines I just drew, just to get a better sense of how the drawing is going to look. And here where the conversation bubble is, I'm going to have to erase a big chunk of this large mushroom with my marker. I also want to trace the lines with black before I start coloring so I don't get confused. And as I'm tracing these, I'm finding little mistakes already that I'll have to fix with the white marker. I'm also drawing and tracing this extra butterfly on top, and now to erase the pencil lines and fix the mistakes I made with the white marker. Okay, so now this is where we are. I have all of my lines. It already kind of looks like a comic book strip, and all I have to do is add color. And also, let me tell you that today I'm only going to do this page. I'm doing a shorter video than usual because, like I said, I arrived yesterday home. I was at Mexico visiting my best friend for a week. But I didn't want to leave you without a video this week, so I'm recording today, Friday, and hopefully I'll post this tomorrow, Saturday, and that will give me enough time to edit if it's just one page, a short video. And for those who are missing the sketchbook videos, don't worry, don't fret. I have two of those planned. Starting next week, we have a beautiful sketchbook video. It's going to be about acrylic markers because I get so many questions about what are the difference with acrylic markers and which ones you should get. So I hope next week with that video, I'm going to be able to answer that question for you. But back to this page, I think now all I have to do is add color. And of course, I haven't done that digitally. So let's see how this goes. I'm choosing very bright colors for these to keep with the color comic book theme. And I'm going to start using blue for the sky. I'm really not sure how to go about it, if I should make each square a different color. But I'm trying to make things easier for myself by doing the sky blue. And I already made my first mistake. I didn't have to color that. That was part of the mushroom. I got confused. But that's okay. I'll just have to paint that area with acrylic markers later. So I'm going to do the bottom squares, and even though they still have a sky or part of the sky in the background too, I'm going to color them with green. And I'm going to use this same green to color most of the leaves. And I'm thinking, why not? I'll have just a little bit of a gradient on the top parts of this grass that's crossing through the squares. For this butterfly square, I chose pink because I wanted to stand out, but I think this pink might be a little too bright. I'm not sure. I'm not great with bright colors. I don't usually use them, but we're going to go for it now. For the mushroom cap, I definitely need to use acrylic, and I decided maybe the background on it could be orange just to add some more color and make it different. And it's gonna take a few layers for the red to cover everything on the mushroom, but that's okay. I have the patience and I can do this while I color the rest. I can alternate layers. To match this red, I'm gonna color some of the mushrooms with the same shade in alcohol markers. And I'm gonna simplify things further and color all of the trunks with yellow. I'm just doing flat coloring for now, and I'm gonna later add all of the texture that makes it look like a comic book. So I'm trying to keep the amount of color simple. And on this mushroom, again, on the trunk, I have to use acrylic markers because I have to cover a couple of lines I drew by mistake. And yeah, those needed to be fixed. I mean, it's not really a mistake. It's just that when I started coloring, it made more sense for the mushroom to be coming out from the square below all the way up to the top than dividing it into parts. Now that I'm coloring, it makes more sense to have it like this. I finished all of the mushrooms, all of the shrubs, and even the little rock the character is sitting on. And now I have everything colored except for these two main characters because I'm not sure what color to use just yet. And now I'm going to start adding the polka dot texture to make it like a comic book. And I'm not sure why I chose a blue that's so much darker. Maybe I should have done it with a lighter blue, but I already started, so I'm just gonna fill the whole square and see how that looks. It is very wonky, but I definitely think the textures is what's gonna give the illusion that this is a comic book or pop art. So I'm gonna add texture to all of the backgrounds and see what that makes for the illustration and see if that makes it look better. Okay, on this second square, I think I messed up just because it looks so much different than the first one I filled with dots. Like the size of the dots and the spacing, it's not the same, but I can't fix it, so I'm just gonna leave it and hope for the best at the end. Thankfully, it's on two different squares, so I don't think it looks that bad. Here on the mushrooms background, I'm going to create a starburst effect because it's coming up from the square. I think it's gonna help it look more dynamic and it's fitting. And I'm just using the same orange I used to color the background, but because it's super dry now, it layers darker. For the main butterfly's background, I'm going to go with larger polka dots to create a different texture. And here I am using a different darker marker to get more contrast. Now for the mushrooms, I'm going to use these darker, like burnt yellow to draw spots with. I'm trying something different by aligning them vertically, and I think this looks weird, so for the one here on the bottom, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to try drawing them like they were shrinking in size or separating to see how that looks. And I don't actually love that either, so third time is a charm. And I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to go from large to small, but diagonally. And I definitely think this works best. So I'm adding some spots in between this top mushroom too to create the effect here again. And I think that really improved this one. And now here on the green square, I'm just adding stripes as a background. And then I'm going to go back to all of the yellow to add more texture. As I do this, I am going back and forth to the area I colored with acrylics to layer more color so I can cover all of the lines. Now that the mushroom stems are done, I'm going to go for the caps. And now I'm going to do the same thing that I did starting with larger dots at the bottom, making them smaller as I go up in a diagonal. Here, I'm just using a marker that's one shade darker to the one I used to color all of the base. For the stone the character is sitting on, I'm going to go simple with stripes, and for all of the foliage I'm doing dots, small diagonal dots. And on these darker bushes I'm going to use acrylic marker so that I can make the dots lighter than the background. I want to have some dots on the largest mushroom too, but I need to see how this marker dries because as I'm painting this right now it looks like it's the same color and like there's no difference, so I'm going to leave it a while to see. While that dries, I'm going to draw the word in the middle of the mushroom. I wanted to go for a wow because I think it fits the character being so surprised by this beautiful butterfly. And I'm also now adding some dynamic little puffs going out of it. This is a last minute decision, but I think it adds a little something. In my original sketch, the letters fit in the star, but now that I'm drawn it, I think the word is too small. And I think this would look better if some parts of the letters project out from the star. Yeah, I like it better like this. I'm gonna outline everything, of course, and I'm gonna erase the pencil lines, and yeah, the red did work. Now that it's dry, I can see the color difference, so I'm just gonna fill the rest of the mushroom cap with dots. And everything I drew here, I'm coloring with acrylic markers because I need to layer and cover stuff as I go. I now want to add more pink. The color that I first thought was too bright now seems necessary to make everything pop more. So does the yellow and orange I'm using for the star. I'm covering the puffs with white, and this is also going to need a few layers, but again, that's okay. I'll just layer more color after it dries. In the meantime, I want to color my character, and I thought purple was going to be perfect. But I'm thinking I chose the wrong shade for sure. This is way too dull. I think I needed something that was much more saturated or bright, but oh well, that's the color I chose. I already started. For the butterflies, I'm picking a very light pink and lilac because I chose the wrong color for the character, and I'm still adding layers to the acrylic coloring area. To brighten up the character, I'm using this acrylic marker in a lighter color to add the polka dots. And I gotta share, all afternoon long as I'm drawing these dots, I'm thinking about Yayoi Kusama. If you're very familiar with my channel, you may know that I did a sketchbook video inspired by her work recently, and now all of the dots feel like her work to me. So yeah, I just had to mention that. I really like playing with the dots on this character because changing their size and orientation helped me a lot to mark shadows and texture. Now for the main butterfly, I'm just going to go with white polka dots because I haven't used white for dots so far, and I think it will give it a final pop. Finally, I'm going to go over some of the lines that I lost while covering things with acrylic markers with my black pen so that everything looks sharper. We're done. This is it. I actually really like it. It was something fun to do this afternoon, and I'm happy to share it with you. I wanted to give you a little something for the weekend, and yeah, I like the result. It's different, and I do have to say it's pretty complicated. It's not that simple. You have to do a lot of thinking and planning, but it's fun if you want to try something new, and if you want to explore new ideas, or if you're like in a creative block, maybe try this, because now this has made me excited again to do just normal flat coloring with a little shadows, and that's it. Okay, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and then I'll see you next week with our sketchbook video. Have the most wonderful day. Bye.